The night shift on the human frontier network was usually quiet, almost too quiet. Most technicians passed their hours drinking warm coffee, watching blinking screens, and waiting for their turn to go home. But on this night, something different happened, something that broke the silence like a sharp crack in the middle of the night. Rami, a young technician barely 2 months into his job, sat alone in the signal monitoring room. His eyes felt heavy, and his head was foggy from staring at the same data patterns for hours. He reached for his cup when a sudden alarm beeped softly. It wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic, but it was completely out of place. Rami slowly turned back to the screen. A waveform danced across it, weak, unstable, breaking apart like a dying heartbeat. For a moment he thought it was a glitch. The system often picked up strange background signals from old satellites or random space noise. But then the waveform steadied, shaped itself, and formed something that made Rami sit up straight. It was a voice, a broken, shaking voice saying one word. "Help!" Rami froze. His hands hovered over the controls. This was impossible. The signal was coming from a star system that was listed as empty and dead. No colonies, no stations, no life at all. He increased the volume. The voice repeated, even weaker this time. "Help! Please, they are coming." Rami's heartbeat jumped. He checked the language filter just to make sure. The system confirmed it. The voice was speaking human English. But the accent was strange, stretched and trembling as if the speaker was not human at all. He replayed the message again and again. Each time the small room felt colder. "Help! They are coming." Humans, help. Rami swallowed hard. He knew he shouldn't assume anything, but the truth pressed into his mind anyway. Something out there knew humans existed. Something out there was afraid enough to call for them. He pressed the emergency alert. Red lights glowed across the control panel. The screen shifted into high-level decoding mode. Rami watched the data reconstruct itself piece by piece. The more he saw, the worse he felt. The signal was extremely old. At least several weeks, maybe more. And it was filled with static, scratches, and strange energy burns. Whoever sent it, they sent it under fear, under attack. The door to the room slid open and Supervisor Hale entered, annoyed. "Rami, why did you hit the emergency alert?" "It's the middle of the night." Rami pointed at the screen. "Sir, you need to hear this." Hale leaned closer as the voice played again. His expression went from irritation to confusion, then to deep worry. "That's not a human voice," he whispered. "No, sir," Rami said quietly, "but it knows the word help." Hale immediately ordered a full scan. More screens lit up, showing star charts and signal trails. The origin point flashed in red. It came from a system far beyond regular patrol routes, a place the frontier network labeled simply as uninhabited. But now it didn't look uninhabited at all. Engineers and analysts rushed into the room, checking sensor logs and frequency layers. One of them gasped when he saw the energy pattern. The signal wasn't just a distress call. It was sent during a battle. "Look at the wave fractures. Something was attacking them." "Who?" Hale asked. No one answered. The message played again, but this time something was different. The last 2 seconds of the signal suddenly shifted into a high-pitched tone. Then, without warning, a scream burst through the speakers. Sharp, raw, filled with terror. The room fell silent. The scream cut off instantly, no fade, just complete silence. Rami felt chills deep in his bones. "Sir, what happened to them?" Hale didn't reply. He ordered the entire station to move to Alert Level 2. Command centers lit up across Earth. Scientists, officers, and AI systems began analyzing the strange SOS. Within minutes, the story spread across the Frontier Defense Network. A voice from a dead system had cried for help, and then vanished. Some believed it was a trap. Others believed it was the first real contact with a peaceful alien species. But a quiet fear began to form inside the minds of everyone who heard the recording. Someone out there needed protection, and someone else out there didn't want them to get it. Rami sat in the back of the room as high-ranking officers reviewed the message again and again. The word humans echoed across the speakers each time, sounding more desperate, more frightened. A commander turned toward Hale. "Prepare a scout ship. We need eyes on that system." A murmur spread among the staff. A quiet voice from the engineering team asked, "What if the attackers are still there?" The commander answered with a cold, simple truth. "Then our people better be ready." Rami watched as the mission order flashed across the wall screens. "Deploy Scout Ship Horizon." Objective: investigate alien SOS, record everything. Proceed with caution. The Horizon was one of humanity's fastest deep space scouts, small, agile, made for silent travel. But even so, the crew would be going blind into a system filled with unknown danger. As final checks began, Rami stepped out onto the balcony that overlooked the launch bay. He watched as the Horizon's engines glowed to life, lighting the hangar floor in cold blue light. He took a deep breath. He hoped they would find survivors. He feared they would not. And somewhere, far away in the darkness, the unknown sender of the message might still be waiting, or already gone forever. The Horizon lifted slowly, turned toward the void, and disappeared into the stars. Humanity had heard the alien SOS. Now it was time to answer. The scout ship Horizon moved through deep space like a silent arrow. Its engines burned softly, leaving a pale trail behind it. Inside the ship, Captain Mira watched the stars with sharp eyes. She was calm, focused, but something inside her felt tight. She had listened to the alien SOS many times during the journey. The voice still echoed in her mind. Help. Humans. Help. She wondered what kind of being would call for humans by name. She wondered if they were still alive. The Horizon dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the dead star system. Immediately, the mood on the bridge shifted. The space around them felt wrong. Too quiet. Too still. As if the entire system was holding its breath. Start full system scan, Mira ordered. Rami, now assigned as temporary signal specialist for the mission, sat at the console near Mira. He nodded and began scanning. The data flowed in slowly at first, then all at once. No ships detected, he said. No active stations. No power sources. It looks empty. Mira stared at the dark planet ahead. The signal came from that world. Bring us closer. The Horizon descended toward the surface. As they approached, the planet revealed itself. Cracked land. Blackened soil. Mountains split as if smashed by giant hands. Strange marks like burn scars ran across the ground. Nothing moved. The ship landed near a cluster of destroyed structures. The crew stepped out, suits sealed, boots sinking into dusty ground. There was no wind, no smell, just silent ruins stretching as far as they could see. Mira raised her scanner. Spread out in teams. Keep eyes open, the ruins were worse up close. Buildings were crushed inward, not outward, as if something heavy had pressed down on them. Metal pillars were twisted like soft wires. The ground was scraped clear in straight lines as if machines had dragged something away, but there were no bodies. Not even bones. Lieutenant Jonas knelt beside a deep groove in the soil. Captain, this place wasn't destroyed in a war. It was cleaned. Mira felt a chill. Cleaned for what? Rami inspected a broken tower. Its walls were melted, corners rounded from extreme heat. He ran his hand across the surface. Someone burned this from above. Heat signatures match high-energy weapons. The more they explored, the worse the picture became. Everything pointed toward a single truth. This colony had been attacked with intent. Not to conquer it. Not to erase it, but to harvest it. One of the engineers found a strange metallic object half buried beneath rubble. It looked like a small sphere with delicate patterns across its shell. A touch plate flashed faintly when exposed to light. It's a drone, she said. Alien-made? Mira knelt beside it. Can we activate it? She didn't know if she wanted the answer. The engineer tapped a few controls on her wrist pad. The drone flickered. Light crawled along its edges like a heartbeat returning after a long rest. Then the device projected a small, shaky hologram into the dusty air. A being appeared, tall, thin, with large soft eyes and smooth skin that shimmered gently. Peaceful-looking, fragile, afraid. Its voice came out broken, like the SOS Rami first heard. Please, help. They came without warning. The hologram shifted, glitching. It showed tall, shadowy figures with long limbs wearing bone-like armor. Their ships hovered in the sky, dragging bright beams across the colony. The peaceful aliens, Avari, ran in fear as the attackers snatched them with energy nets. Captured, all captured. They take us, not kill, only take. The projection shook violently. A loud boom echoed through the scene. Fire rushed upward. The Avari's face twisted into fear. They take us to the dark ships. They will return. Please, if anyone hears, help. The image ended. The drone powered down and cracked apart, its last energy drained. The crew stared at the spot where the hologram had been. Rami whispered, "So it was real. Someone stole an entire colony." Mira felt anger spark in her chest. She closed her fist tightly. "We need to find where they were taken." The ship's AI suddenly pinged Mira. "Captain," it said, "I've detected something unusual." Back on the bridge, Mira saw the reading. A faint, almost invisible beacon signal was pulsing under the ruins. It wasn't Avari technology. It was something else. "Track it," Mira said. The signal was old but still active. It pointed to a region of the planet where the ground was peeled open like a giant wound. They followed it to a deep pit filled with metallic fragments, scorched stone, and long grooves that ran outward into the distance. The AI analyzed the beacon. "This device belongs to an unknown species. Technology suggests silent tracking systems. Someone placed this here to watch the colony after the attack." Mira frowned. "Watch for what?" "Maybe for survivors," Jonas said. "Maybe for us," Rami added quietly. Before Mira could respond, the ship's alarms blared. The crew rushed to the windows. Above the horizon of the dead planet, a massive shadow passed by. A giant ship. Dark, sharp, like a predator made of metal and hunger. It moved with silent purpose and watched everything below. Rami's voice shook. "Captain, that's not one of ours." The unknown ship rotated slowly as if smelling the air, searching. Then it stopped, turned, locked its sensors on the horizon's landing zone. Mira felt her pulse quicken. "Everyone back to the ship now." The crew sprinted across the ruined ground as the huge vessel descended through the clouds. Its engines whispered like knives scraping stone. The horizon's doors sealed just as the creature-like ship hovered above them. "Lift off," Mira commanded. The horizon shot upward, engines flaring bright. The dark ship followed instantly, matching their speed, their angle, their every move. It didn't shoot. It didn't speak, it hunted. Rami stared at the radar. "Captain, it's tracking us perfectly." The dark vessel closed the distance. Its shadow covered the cockpit. Its lights flickered like watching eyes. Mira set her jaw. "We came looking for answers. Looks like they found us first." And the second part of the story ended with the horizon fleeing a predator born of the void. The horizon climbed through the thin upper air of the ruined planet, engines burning at maximum power. But no matter how fast it moved, the dark ship behind it stayed close. It followed without fear, without hesitation, almost like it enjoyed the chase. Inside the cockpit, the lights flickered as the sensors struggled to scan the enormous vessel. Mira leaned forward, her eyes sharp, calm but alert. "Report," she said. Rami stared at the screen that showed the pursuing ship. "It's matching our speed exactly. No communication attempts, no signs of hesitation." Lieutenant Jonas watched another display. "Weapons remain cold. But that doesn't make this better." "It's like they want us to panic." Mira took a slow breath. "Then we won't panic." She ordered the ship to rise out of the planet's gravity well. The horizon shuddered, climbing higher until the dead world became a cracked sphere behind them. The dark ship followed smoothly. It had jagged edges like broken teeth, long limbs extending from its hull, and glowing lines pulsing across its sides like veins. It didn't look like something built. It looked grown. The ship's AI chimed suddenly. "Unknown vessel preparing a directed scan." A blinding beam swept over the horizon. The crew felt a strange ringing in their helmets and a deep hum in their bones. "What was that?" Jonas asked. "Scanning us," Rami said. "Deep scan. They're reading everything about us." Mira narrowed her eyes. "Open a channel." Static crackled for several seconds, then a voice came through. It was not a friendly voice. It was not even a normal one. It sounded like metal grinding against stone mixed with a slow hiss. "Deathworlders, you should not be here." The bridge fell silent. Mira answered calmly. "Identify yourselves." The voice hissed again, stretching the word like it enjoyed it. "We are Varkuun." That name made Rami's stomach twist. He remembered it from the message in the drone hologram. The shadowy beings who captured the Avari. Mira's voice stayed steady. "We detected a distress signal from this world. We believe peaceful beings were taken. We are searching for survivors." A long pause. Then the Varkuun captain replied, voice low and hungry. "This world is ours. The weak are ours." "Leave now, Deathworlders," Jonas muttered under his breath. "They call the Avari weak because they couldn't fight back." Rami whispered, "They called us Deathworlders. They know what humans can do. Mira leaned forward, her expression cold. We will not leave until we know what happened to the colony. The Varkuun captain laughed. It was a sickening sound, broken and sharp. Then you will die here. Without warning, the Varkuun ship fired. A beam of dark red energy shot toward the horizon. Mira rolled the ship hard. The blast skimmed their shields, shaking the entire hull. Return fire, Mira ordered. Jonas fired twin plasma bursts. They hit the Varkuun ship directly, and did nothing. Captain, Jonas said, voice tight. Their armor is absorbing our shots. Mira didn't blink. Switch to railguns. The Horizon's railguns roared. High-velocity metal rounds streaked toward the enemy ship. This time sparks flew. Small cracks formed along the Varkuun hull. The Varkuun hissed again through the comm. You bite. Good. But you still die. Another blast hit the Horizon, pushing it sideways. Alarms flashed. Rami checked the damage. Shields at 40%. One more hit like that and we'll be exposed. Mira made a fast decision. Prepare silent drift maneuver. Jonas hesitated. Captain, that move is risky at this distance. Risky is better than dead. Do it. The Horizon suddenly cut its engines. Everything inside the ship went dark except emergency lights. No movement. No heat burst. No engine flare. To the outside world, the Horizon became a cold, drifting rock. The Varkuun moved closer, confused. Rami whispered, If they scan us again, they won't, Mira said. Their scanners need a cooldown time after that deep scan. The Varkuun ship crept past them, searching ahead, expecting the Horizon to keep running. Mira waited until the perfect moment. Full power. Hit them from behind! The Horizon roared back to life. Engines flared golden. The sudden burst of heat and motion shocked the Varkuun ship. Before it could turn, the Horizon slammed a railgun volley directly into one of its power nodes. A huge explosion burst from the Varkuun vessel. One of its long limbs tore loose and drifted into space. Shockwaves hit the Horizon, but Mira held the course. Jonas fired again and again. The Varkuun ship cracked open. Liquid metal spilled into the void like bleeding machinery. The Varkuun captain's voice returned, broken, enraged. Deathworlders. You will regret this. The enemy ship exploded, scattering metal shards in all directions. Rami stared at the drifting pieces. Is it over? Mira shook her head. No. The AI beeped sharply, detecting multiple incoming warp signatures. Jonas checked his screen. His face drained of color. Captain. Not one ship. Not 10. Hundreds. Small, medium, large vessels, Varkuun warships, ripped into real space like a swarm of dark shadow beasts. They were waiting, Rami said softly. This was a trap the moment we landed. Mira watched the swarm form a deadly ring around the system. The Horizon was tiny compared to the fleet. Jonas swallowed. We can't fight that, Captain. No, Mira agreed. But someone can. She opened a secure channel. Admiral Rhodes, this is Horizon. We have confirmed hostiles. The Varkuun are real and they are here in force. Request immediate backup. Heavy backup, static. Then a deep voice answered. We're already on our way. Hold position if you can. The fleet jumps in 3 minutes. Rami felt his heart lift slightly. But 3 minutes against a swarm like this felt impossible. The Varkuun ships began to move, closing in on the alone, cornered Horizon. Mira tightened her grip on the controls. Let them come. We'll hold. The first wave of slaver ships rushed toward them like hungry wolves, and 3 minutes suddenly felt like a lifetime. The Horizon drifted alone in the dark as the Varkuun swarm closed in. The slaver ships formed a slow, tightening circle, like predators surrounding a single wounded animal. Their engines glowed sickly red. Their hulls twitched and shifted almost alive. Each ship seemed to breathe. Inside the Horizon, every crew member felt the weight of those 3 minutes Admiral Rhodes had promised. 3 minutes sounded short in normal life. But right now, trapped between hundreds of hostile ships, it felt like wading through the longest storm of their lives. Rami checked the clock again and again. 2 minutes left. 2 minutes. Jonas kept scanning the swarm. They're not firing yet. They're waiting for us to panic. Mira remained calm, her eyes fixed forward. We won't panic. Keep shields at full. Prepare evasive maneuvers. The Varkuun ships moved closer in perfect eerie timing. They didn't rush. They didn't shout. They advanced like a pack that already knew it had won. One of the ships broadcast a message. The voice came through as a crawling whisper. "Deathworlders, surrender your ship. You cannot escape. You are alone." Mira muted the channel instantly. "We do not answer threats," she said. But the truth pressed somewhere inside her. If the fleet didn't arrive soon, Horizon wouldn't survive the next few minutes. The swarm tightened. Some ships opened their jaws, literal mechanical jaws, revealing energy weapons that pulsed with hungry light. Rami whispered, "Captain." 1 minute, the first Varkuun ship lunged forward. "Brace!" Mira shouted. The enemy fired a beam of red energy. Mira rolled the Horizon sharply, just barely avoiding the blast. The beam cut across the empty space where the Horizon had been seconds ago. Jonas fired plasma cannons in return. They exploded against the Varkuun hull with bright flashes but did little damage. The slaver ship simply kept advancing. Another beam hit their shields. Alarms screamed. The Horizon shook violently. "Shields dropping to 60%, Rami said. "Hold it together," Mira ordered. More ships rushed in, firing at once. The Horizon twisted between the shots, but they could not dodge everything. One beam smashed into the rear armor. Another struck the left wing hard enough to warp metal. "Captain," Jonas shouted. "We can't take many more hits." Rami looked at the time. 20 seconds. Just 20. The swarm prepared to fire again. Hundreds of ships powering their weapons in the same moment created a red glow that filled the space around them. It looked like the entire sky was turning into a burning net. Rami whispered, "We're not going to make it." And then the sky cracked open. A ripple formed in space behind the Horizon. At first it looked like a wave of bending glass. Then light burst out of it. Brilliant blue light that shook the darkness. "Jump signature," Jonas shouted. "Massive one." Dozens of human ships dropped out of warp in perfect formation. Carriers with glowing launch decks. Destroyers lined with railguns. Fast attack craft armed with missile racks. And at the center of them all, the massive dreadnought Goliath. Its hull thick as mountain rock, its engines glowing like small suns. The arrival shook the Varkuun swarm. Communications lit up across the Horizon. "This is Admiral Rhodes," a deep voice said. "Horizon, stand by. We'll take it from here." Mira finally let out a breath she had been holding. "Good timing, Admiral," Rhodes answered with calm steel. "Let's save your crew first." The human fleet immediately formed a defensive wall between the Horizon and the Varkuun swarm. Human ships moved with precision, each one sliding into its place like part of a giant shield. The Varkuun ships reacted fast, their swarm shifting into attack lines. The air filled with their sickening whispers. The first clash came like thunder. The Goliath fired its main cannon. The blast tore through 3 Varkuun cruisers, ripping them apart into burning fragments. Human destroyers followed with railgun volleys, sending streaks of blue light across the battlefield. The Varkuun answered back with a storm of red energy beams. The human shields flared brightly, absorbing hit after hit. Some smaller ships took damage, but the line held. Rami stared in awe. "I've never seen anything like this." Mira nodded. "This is why we are called Deathworlders." Human fighters launched from the carriers like a silver wave, weaving between enemy fire. They targeted the smaller Varkuun vessels first, overwhelming them with speed and precision. The battlefield became chaos and light. The Varkuun were strong, but they were not prepared for the full power of a human war fleet. Admiral Rhodes opened a channel to all ships. "Remember the mission? The Avari were taken. Our goal is not only to fight. We find them." Jonas checked long-distance scans. "Captain, the Varkuun are retreating from the planet. Some are breaking formation. They're hiding something," Mira said. "Watch for any signals leaving the system." As she spoke, the AI flagged something. Outgoing transmission detected. Origin damaged Varkuun cruiser. "Destination unknown coordinates." Mira leaned closer. "Trace it." The AI calculated quickly, then displayed the result. Transmission sent to Varkuun Fortress World. The bridge fell silent. Rami whispered, "So the prisoners—" "They're being moved there." Mira's voice hardened. "Admiral, we have confirmation. The Avari are alive. The Varkuun took them to a fortress." Rhodes responded instantly. "Coordinates received. Get ready, Horizon. You're coming with us." The Horizon's crew exchanged determined looks. Rami felt fear, yes, but also resolve. Now there was a clear target. A reason for everything that had happened. Humans didn't turn away from cries for help. Not then, not now. Rhodes gave the final order. All ships, prepare for pursuit. The Varkuun will not escape justice. Engines roared across the fleet. The warships formed into a spearhead of blinding light, and together, humanity began the chase. The human fleet moved through slipspace like a silver spear cutting the dark. Every ship held steady in formation, engines glowing with purpose. The crew of the Horizon watched the swirling blue tunnel outside their windows, feeling the tension rise with every passing moment. They were no longer chasing a mystery. They were chasing answers, and those answers waited on a Varkuun fortress world. Rami sat at his console, fingers tapping nervously against the edge. He kept replaying the drone message from the Avari in his mind, the fear in their eyes, the desperation in their voice. He couldn't forget it. He didn't want to. They'll be alive, Mira said beside him. She didn't look away from the stars. We're going to bring them home. Rami nodded, even though he wasn't sure he believed it. The Varkuun were not the kind to leave survivors in comfort. The ship AI interrupted the silence. Fortress world arrival in 60 seconds. The bridge crew straightened. Mira tightened her gloves. Jonas whispered a short prayer under his breath. Even the ship felt tense, as if preparing to step into the mouth of something ancient and hungry. Slipspace tore open, and the fleet burst into real space. Immediately, the view ahead stole everyone's breath. The Varkuun fortress world hung beneath them, a massive planet covered with metal plates, dark towers and glowing red veins that ran across its surface like scars. Dozens of orbital rings circled it, each packed with weapons, rail beam platforms, missile clusters, and giant cannons shaped like jagged teeth. And around the planet drifted hundreds of slave ships, long, narrow vessels with cages built into their hulls. Rami spoke in a small voice. It looks like a factory. Jonas corrected him quietly. No, a prison. Admiral Rhodes opened the fleet channel. His voice was calm, strong, and heavy with purpose. All ships listen carefully. We go in fast. We go in hard. Our objective is the prisoners, not glory. Free them, protect them, and stop anyone who stands in the way. The fleet moved. The first Varkuun defense ring activated instantly. Red beams sliced toward the humans. Rhodes ordered the forward destroyers to deploy shield flares. Huge bursts of energy lit up the darkness, absorbing the attack. Mira pushed the Horizon forward, weaving between human cruisers as the battle exploded around them. Fighter wings launched in shining waves, diving toward the orbital rings to cut pathways through the defenses. Missile trails painted the sky like burning stars. The Varkuun fought back with terrifying unity. Their ships moved in sharp insect-like formations, firing at human vessels from every angle. The Horizon shook as a near miss scraped their shields. Shields at 70%, Rami reported. Hold steady, Mira said. Her voice remained calm, almost cold. We're going in. Jonas pointed at the scanners. Captain, I found something. A deep signal source inside the planet's surface. It might be the prison core, Mira nodded. Send it to the Admiral. Seconds later, Rhodes's voice came through. Horizon, you're closest to that point. You'll lead the rescue entry. Goliath will cover you. Rami swallowed. We're going down there alone. Not alone, Mira answered. Goliath is coming with us. The dreadnought Goliath moved beside them, its engines burning with a bright gold light. Its massive cannons fired in slow, earth-shaking bursts, tearing open gaps in the orbital defenses. The Horizon darted through the openings like a hunter passing between giant legs. As they descended, the planet grew more terrifying. Enormous chains, actual chains, each length the size of a building, hung from the fortress towers down into deep pits. Prison ships docked along these chains, unloading captured species into the underground chambers. Captain, Jonas said, voice tight. I'm detecting thousands of life signs buried below. Thousands, Rami repeated. How many did they take? Too many, Mira said. As they neared the surface, Varkuun flyers attacked from all sides. Small, sharp craft that swarmed like angry blades. The Horizon dodged them, but one clipped their right side, shaking the ship so hard Rami nearly fell from his seat. Right thruster damaged, he shouted. Compensating, Jonas replied, struggling with the controls. The Horizon shot toward a dark opening in the fortress, an entry gate shaped like a screaming mouth. Heavy metal doors began to slide shut. Mira slammed her fist on the console. Full thrust! The engines roared. The horizon blasted through the narrowing gap just as the metal doors slammed behind them. Sparks showered the ground. Inside, the fortress was a maze of metal corridors, glowing red lights and huge pipes carrying unknown liquids. The air felt heavy as if the walls themselves were watching. Rami scanned the area. Life signs directly below us. A lot of them. Definitely Avari. Mira started landing procedures. Prepare rescue squad. We're going in. Jonas opened the armory lockers. The crew suited up in combat armor, simple, strong, built for harsh encounters. Their visors lit with blue data. Mira led the team down the ramp when the horizon settled. The metal floor was warm beneath their boots. As if the planet itself had a heartbeat, alarms blared somewhere deep in the halls. Varkuun guards appeared, tall, skeletal figures with armor that looked like bone carved from beasts. Their weapons were long staffs that crackled with red electricity. Mira raised her rifle. We're not here to run, her team fired. Blue bolts lit the corridor. The Varkuun hissed and fell back. Some dropped. Others retreated to alert more guards. The humans pressed forward, determined and fast. They reached the prison chamber, a gigantic hall filled with cages stacked high, thousands of them. Inside, Avari and many other species huddled together, weak, shaking, some too afraid to speak. When the prisoners saw the humans, they recoiled at first, thinking new captors had arrived. Then they saw the human flag on Mira's suit. One Avari stepped forward with trembling legs. Its large eyes filled with disbelief. You came, it whispered. Mira lowered her weapon. We heard your call. We're here to take you home. The Avari touched Mira's gloved hand gently, as if checking if she was real. Then it whispered something that made every human on the team stop. They are building something for war. And they want humans next. Before Mira could ask what that meant, the floor shook violently. A massive energy surge rose from deep below the fortress. Jonas shouted, Captain, the Varkuun flagship just activated a superweapon in orbit. Mira looked up, eyes hard. They know we're here. The fortress began to roar as power flooded through its veins. The Varkuun were preparing to crush the human fleet, and the humans were trapped inside their world of chains. The fortress shook again, harder this time. Dust drifted from the ceiling and metal beams creaked under the sudden burst of power rising through the planet's core. Every prisoner in the massive hall looked around in fear, eyes wide, expecting the end. Rami steadied himself against a wall. Captain, that energy spike, it's massive. If they fire that weapon, the fleet is finished. Mira clenched her jaw. Then we stop it before it fires. The Avari elder pulled at her sleeve with trembling hands. The weapon is deep below. They guard it with everything. No one who goes down comes back. Mira met the elder's frightened eyes. Someone will this time. Jonas moved to the control panel near the cages. I can unlock the whole block. It'll take a few minutes. Make it happen, Mira said. Rami, stay with him. Protect the prisoners. Rami nodded, though his chest felt heavy with fear. The prisoners needed safety more than anything else. Mira turned to the rest of her team. You're with me. We take the lower levels. We find the core, and we end this. The humans moved quickly, leaving the rescued Avari in the massive hall. Jonas began unlocking cells one row at a time. The prisoners, weak, trembling, starving, slowly stepped out, unsure if they were dreaming. One small Avari child stared at Rami with wide eyes. Are you here to stop the monsters? Rami forced a soft smile. That's why we came. A deep rumble echoed from below as Mira and the strike team disappeared into the shadows of the lower levels. The fortress beneath the surface was a maze of crimson-lit corridors, pipes filled with glowing liquid, and sharp ridges along the walls that looked like ribs. The deeper the team went, the hotter the air became. It felt like walking toward a furnace. The AI in Mira's visor displayed energy readings. Superweapon charging at 60%. Time estimate 12 minutes and 12 minutes. Mira whispered. We need to move faster. They crossed a narrow bridge hanging over a pit of molten metal. Varkuun guards appeared on the far side, tall and twisted, their armor glowing like burning bone. They raised their crackling staffs. The first guard screamed a hissed word. Deathworlders. Open fire! Mira shouted. The corridor exploded with flashes of blue and red. The humans fought with sharp precision, their shots cutting through the guards' armor. The Varkuun attacked with brutal strength, forcing the humans backward. But Mira pushed forward, firing without pause. One guard leaped toward her. She ducked under its strike, rolled, and fired a burst directly into its chest. The creature fell into the molten pit below with a fading shriek. Her team pressed on. Behind them, more guards echoed through the halls, but the humans sealed blast doors as they moved deeper. The heat grew unbearable. The walls glowed. The air trembled with rising power. At last, they reached a giant chamber. In the center stood the Varkuun superweapon core, an enormous column of twisting red energy surrounded by black pylons. Metal conduits fed into it like veins. It pulsed like a giant heart, and in front of it stood the Varkuun warlord. He was larger than any guard, almost 3 meters tall, wrapped in armor that looked carved from the bones of titans. He carried a long blade crackling with red lightning. His voice rumbled through the chamber like distant thunder. "You invade our world. You free our prey. You dare stand against us?" Mira stepped forward, rifle raised. The Avari called for help, and humans answer calls for help. The warlord tilted his head. "Then you will die for them," he charged. The ground shook under his steps. Mira rolled aside just as the blade sliced through the floor, sending a shockwave of sparks. Her team fired, but the warlord moved with terrifying speed. His armor absorbed the shots like rain. Mira shouted, "Aim for the joints!" The humans adjusted aim. Their shots hit the thinner armor around the warlord's elbows and knees. He roared in pain and swung the blade toward Mira. She blocked with her rifle. The blade shattered it instantly, throwing her backward. She hit the ground hard, sliding across the metal floor. The warlord stalked toward her slowly, savoring the kill. "You are strong, Deathworlder," he said, "but strength won't save you." Mira looked up at him, blood on her lip, and smiled. "It doesn't have to. My team will." Her soldiers opened fire again, their shots targeting every weakened joint. The warlord roared, stumbling. Mira jumped up, grabbed a fallen plasma cutter, and slashed it across the side of his helmet. The armor cracked. The warlord staggered. Mira leaped upward and drove the cutter straight through his chest. The warlord collapsed with a thunderous crash. The superweapon core behind him kept pulsing, reaching 90% charge. Warning alarms filled the air. Jonas's voice came through Mira's comm. "Captain, the fleet in orbit. They can't hold much longer." "Stand by," Mira answered. "We're taking the core offline." Her team placed charges around the pylons. The heat grew hotter, the core growing brighter. The floor shook violently. "Charges set," a soldier shouted. "Detonate!" The explosions ripped through the core. The entire fortress roared as the weapon destabilized. The energy column shattered into a burst of light, sending shockwaves through every level of the planet. Above the fortress, on the surface, the Varkuun towers burst apart. Orbital cannons died in silent flashes. Ships lost power, drifting helplessly. In orbit, Admiral Rhodes watched as the fortress world erupted with cracks of golden light. "The weapon is down," he murmured. "All ships, press forward. End this." Human warships unleashed a final wave of fire. Varkuun vessels fell one by one, collapsing under the storm. Fighters cut through the remains, securing the skies. Inside the fortress, the prisoners watched the lights flicker, uncertain. Then Rami shouted from the hall, voice breaking with emotion. "It's done. They did it!" The Avari elder wept. "Your people saved all of us." Mira and her team returned to the upper chambers, covered in dust, bruised, exhausted, but alive. The Avari rushed to them, embracing them with shaking hands. Mira whispered, "You're safe now. We're getting you home." Hours later, as the rescued species boarded human ships, the galaxy watched the broadcast sent from Admiral Rhodes. "This is humanity. If you take the weak, if you enslave, if you bring fear, you will answer to us." Across the stars, the name Deathworlder gained a new meaning, a promise of protection, a shield for the helpless, a storm for the wicked, and the message that once begged for help became the spark of a new alliance. A quiet vow whispered throughout the galaxy. When danger comes, humans will come too.